All right. I think let's get started. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our paid experience with impact webinar, where today we're going to discuss how you can apply your learning and get paid as a student at UBC Engineering. So my name is Franco Fung. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a student recruitment officer for UBC Engineering at the Vancouver campus. I would like to acknowledge that the land that our campus stands on the Vancouver campus, the place where we work, learn, connect, and innovate is on the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Musqueam peoples. Now I'd like to introduce you to my co-host today, Marie.
Hi, everyone. So, like Franco said, my name is Marie Reed, and I'm an engineering advisor from the UBC Okanagan campus, and my pronouns are she, her. I would like to acknowledge that UBC Okanagan is situated in the territory of the Selix Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I would also like to acknowledge that you may be joining us today from many places near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. Back over to you, Franco.
Thanks, Marie. A few notes to go over before we dive into today's session. A reminder that there are a few functions in the Zoom webinar to help you customize your experience with us today. So if you are experiencing any audio or video issues, you can adjust these through the settings below. So if you continue to experience issues where, for example, maybe you can't hear us, I suggest you take a look at your audio settings to see if you might have to just adjust a speaker. But if you're still experiencing issues, let us know and we can try to help you troubleshoot. Ultimately, this session today is designed for you, so please feel free to submit your questions to us through the Q&A box below. One request from me to you is that please submit your question once. We have a lot of you here with us today, so submit your question once and so you can give us an opportunity to get to it. You can also upvote questions as well in the Q&A. So if there's a similar question that you would like an answer to, please upvote those so we know those are popular questions that you want to get answered. Another note about our questions, we will only be able to answer general questions, and we want to focus our questions on co-op today as well. So if you have any further questions, specific, for example, specific admissions questions specific to your application, I invite you to contact our central UBC admissions team for more information about that. How you can contact them, I'll drop that in the chat in just a few minutes. Another note, closed captioning is enabled, so you can enable this by clicking on the closed captioning button at the bottom. And finally, if you're not able to stay with us for the entire session, that's okay. A recording of this full session will be shared to all registrants in just a few days, and it will also be shared on our YouTube channel as well for if you want to revisit the session later on. So it's great to see so many potential future UBC engineers joining us here today. I do want to know a little bit more about like where our guests are joining us from. So if you can do me a quick favor, just to answer these two questions. I'm interested to learning if you're a high school applicant, if you're coming from another university or college, if you are an Indigenous applicant, please let us know. And also let us know where you're joining us from. UBC gets thousands of applications from around the world, and it always is very interesting to see where our guests are joining us from. So let us know. While we're waiting for those poll results to come in, I thought we'd just do a quick round of intro. So you've already met Marie and myself. I'm going to now turn it over to Jennifer to introduce herself.
Hi, thank you, Franco. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Jennifer Eberly, and I'm a manager in the Applied Science Co-op program. I'm physically located on UBC's Okanagan campus, but I work extremely closely with my colleagues on the Vancouver campus, mainly because the Applied Science Co-op program is a unique program in the sense that it spans both campuses of UBC. So I do work quite closely with my counterparts in Vancouver, as well as I support Okanagan and Vancouver students. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Yumi.
Audio. Hi, everyone. My name is Yumi, and I'm one of 10 co-op advisors located at the Vancouver campus. And I mainly work with a cluster of students, which are chemical and biological, mining, manufacturing, and material students. But as co-op advisors, we do work with all students with many aspects within co-op, and we look forward to having you join co-op in the near future. And I'm going to pass it off to Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm a third year electrical engineering student on the Okanagan campus for UBC, and I've been in the co-op program for almost a full year now, so I will get to share a little bit more about my experience later on in the presentation with you guys. And I'm passing it off to Saeed.
Hi everyone, my name is Syed. I'm in my final year of computer engineering. I'm in the Vancouver campus and I've been in the co-op program for a long time, and I have done 20 months of co-op, and I will share my experience later on, and I will pass it on to Caleb.
I think we just lost Caleb, but Caleb will be back later on to share his experience in our co-op program. But this is what we have we have planned for you today. So here's a quick look at our agenda. We're going to start the session today with just a short segment where I'm going to be talking about some of the frequently asked questions that you have. After that, we're going to turn it back over to Jennifer to feature our co-op program, and then we're going to hear from our current co-op students. After that, we're going to wrap up the session with a live Q&A, so we can get to your most popular questions. Again, please feel free to start submitting your questions in the Q&A right now throughout the presentation. So I want to take a few minutes to just get to the most popular question we get. I've applied now, what's next to come? So the big question I'm getting from a lot of applicants right now is, when will I hear back? So overall, generally, UBC continues to send out decisions on a rolling basis. The majority of decisions will be released from December to April. Any updates to your application will be communicated to you first through your applicant service center. So if you want to find your application status, log into your ASC, go under admissions, go under application status, and that is the latest status about your application. Now, if you apply before February 1st, that is our first round offer date. To be considered for first round offers, you can hear back anytime from now until the end of February. Now, if you don't hear back by the end of February, don't worry, you're going to be automatically evaluated again when we receive updated grades later in the spring. The next question that I get a lot from students is, how do I submit supporting documents? So now, if UBC requires additional information from you, such as things like transcripts, they will let you know through your ASC account. So again, that's an important thing. Make sure you check your ASC account. Depending on which document is required, for example, if it's an unofficial or official transcript, this will determine how it may need to be submitted. So for example, unofficial transcripts, you can probably upload those to your ASC. But if we require an official transcript, for example, it does need to be sent from your institution either by mail or email. So again, make sure you're checking your ASC account for more information. A couple other tips, I mentioned this earlier again, check your application status through the ASC and making sure you're checking your email regularly for any updates on your application. When you do receive a communication from UBC, make sure you are reading through those communications carefully and thoroughly as well, because there's always going to be a lot of important information there. And if you do have any questions, you can reach out to our UBC admissions team directly. Again, I will drop that link in the chat shortly, so you have that information, you know how to reach out to them. So that's it for me. I'm going to hop over into the Q&A to answer some of your questions. I'm now going to turn it over to Jennifer, and we're going to get the conversation started about our co-op program.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Franco. Welcome again, everyone. As I mentioned, my name is Jennifer, and I'm a manager in the Applied Science Co-op program. I'm really excited to be here today to tell you more about the program, specifically about, what is the co-op program, how does it work, and what are the benefits of participating in the program. By joining the co-op program, you can really get the opportunity to start building your engineering career while you're still a student. Myself, I've worked in the co-op program for just over 11 years, and many of my students have told me that participating in the co-op program was the best part of their university experience. Okay, So paid experience, you might be wondering, like, why do I need to consider about getting paid experience while I'm a student? Well, UBC Engineering provides an outstanding classroom-based education that is, fully enriched with hands-on learning experiences. However, applying this knowledge in a real-world setting is essential, and it's really one of the best ways to do that is through paid work experience as a student. This not only helps reinforce for you what you've learned in the classroom, but it also allows you to bring some of those valuable insights and knowledge that you've gained from the workplace back into your classroom studies. Gaining this practical experience helps you not only discover your interests, but also helps to shape your career path after graduation. And the Applied Science Co-op program is really an ideal way to gain this experience and to make the most of your education at UBC. Okay, so what is co-op actually? So co-op is actually short for cooperative education. And cooperative education is a structured co-curricular program that combines your traditional classroom-based education with practical hands-on work experience that you've gained in industry. In this case, both UBC and our employer partners are working together to create career-ready graduates. At UBC, cooperative education is an optional program, and students can choose to pursue this option as part of their program and completing their degree. Students do have to apply for admission to the co-op program. So you might be wondering again, why join co-op? What are some of the top reasons or benefits for participating in the program? And the one thing we found is that nowadays, one of the top things employers are looking for in applicants is people with work experience. Unfortunately, having a degree is simply not good enough. Employers want to see students that have experience. So by joining the co-op program, you have the opportunity to gain valuable technical engineering work experience that's going to allow you to apply what you're learning in the classroom to real world problems and to bring what you've learned in industry back to the classroom to kind of help inform your future direction of your studies. When you're in the workplace, you're not going to be working by yourself. You're going to be working alongside professional engineers and other industry professionals who are then going to become part of your own personal network of individuals in industry. In addition, if you're at all interested in becoming a professional engineer, it's not enough just to have an engineering degree. You also have to acquire 4 years of work experience under an engineer before you can apply for the designation of a professional engineer. By being in the co-op program, you can start working towards that professional work experience needed for the professional engineer's designation while you're still completing your degree. And then being in the co-op program, you're not restricted to only working in positions in the Metro Vancouver area or in the Kelowna area. You're open to trying a variety of positions. You get the opportunity to work in a variety of different industries, and you can try different work environments as well. And these can be both locally, close to the campus, or essentially anywhere around the world. And then being in the co-op program, we're really here to kind of help you navigate and sort of demystify the hiring process from, how do you find those opportunities? What do you need to do in your applications to be, shortlisted for interview? And then once you get that interview, how can you ensure that you're going to translate that into an offer? And being in the co-op program is also a really great opportunity for you to learn more about yourself. A lot of students enter the engineering program really not knowing what they want to do after graduation. Well, being in the co-op program allows you to test drive a variety of different positions to help you learn more about the types of opportunities that appeal for you, the way that you like to work, and help you sort of gain confidence in your overall future career direction after graduation. And probably most importantly, of course, all co-op work experiences must be paid experiences. So working on a co-op work term can go a long way for you making that money to help pay for your engineering program. And last but not least, being in the co-op program means you're not doing the job search on your own. You're going to have a dedicated team of people behind you, supporting you and helping you secure opportunities. Every student in our program is assigned a designated co-op career advisor. Yumi is one of those great individuals on our team, and their role is to help support you in your co-op career journey. So how does co-op work? So students in the co-op program essentially alternate between academic terms taking place in the classroom with work terms taking place in the workplace and industry. The first work term that you would participate in takes place in the summer following your second year of engineering study. And then your last work term must be completed before you get to your final year or fourth year of academic study. And that's because you are required to start and end your program on an academic term, because we do want students integrating all of that knowledge that you've gained from co-op into your academic studies. It's important to know that all engineering disciplines across both campuses of UBC are eligible to participate in the program. It does add 1 year to your total degree program. So normally an engineering program is 4 years, but if you choose to participate in the co-op program, it does add 1 year to your degree program. So it becomes a 5-year program. But by doing so, you graduate not only with a degree, but 16 to 20 months of relevant work experience as well. Students, this is something you don't have to worry about right away, which is a really nice thing. You have that first year to adjust to being a new student at UBC. You really don't need to start thinking about, the co-op program until the beginning of your second or third year of study. All students who express interest in the co-op program at either of those 2 periods of time and have an average of 65% are accepted. So it is not a competitive admission process. So as long as you meet those criteria, you're welcome to participate in the program. It's also important to know that the co-op program really mimics the real world job search process. So you have to apply for and compete for opportunities just like you would in the real world. We're not a placement program. We don't assign students jobs. I'd love to do that. But ultimately, it's up to our employers who decide which students they wish to hire. And at the end of the day, it's the student's responsibility to secure employment. However, we strongly encourage you to use all of the supports and resources available from the co-op program to help you be successful. Okay, so a little bit more about the Applied Science Co-op program. So UBC in general has the largest co-op program in Western Canada. The largest programs are engineering and science. And the Applied Science Co-op program has been in existence since 1980. So that means we've developed a very extensive and robust network of employer partners who recognize UBC as being the best source of top engineering student talent. So students in our program have also been able to secure work terms at top tier companies. They've been given the opportunity to work in a very large, diverse set of industries, as well as the opportunity to work across the globe. And last but not least, we offer dedicated support and mentorship to help students succeed in securing a work term. You're not going to be going through this process on your own. So for example, on the slide here, you see in last year, we posted just shy of 7,000 jobs in our system that were available to co-op students to apply for. And then last year, our students participated in just over 3,000 work terms. And these students are ultimately securing, 16 or more months of paid work experience while they're completing their degree. All right, there's lots of different types of opportunities. These opportunities can take place. It could be a research-based opportunity, which might be taking place in a university lab at UBC, or it might be a research position in industry. Opportunities in industry may involve working in an office setting. You might be in the field. You might be working in a research and development lab. You might be working in a manufacturing facility, construction, doing testing. There's such a variety of positions that our students have had experience with. In addition, we've had students working all across the country and around the world, with many of our students securing positions in places like the United States, Germany, and Japan. And as I mentioned before, all co-op work experiences must be paid experiences. So you might be wondering how much that might be. And I'm happy to report that students in the Applied Science Co-op program are among the highest paid co-op students at UBC. So you'll see in the table below just a sampling of some of the monthly salaries that our students have earned while in the program. So for example, a co-op student in the civil engineering program has been earning on average $4,300 per month. Computer engineering, again, about $4,400. Mining all the way up to $4,900. So as you can imagine, that goes a long way to help pay for your degree. Okay, so there are fees associated with participating in the co-op program. So the two main fees are the workshop and administration fee, and the second fee is the co-op program fee. So the workshop and administration fee is a one-time fee that you pay immediately upon admission into the co-op program. And this fee covers the costs of the pre-employment training workshops that you'll participate in. And these are required in order for you to be able to search for your first co-op work term. The co-op program fee or co-op tuition fee is the fee that you're required to pay for each 4-month co-op work term that you secure. It's also important to know that when you're in the co-op program and on a co-op work term, you're considered to be a full-time UBC student, which means you're also required to pay your regular UBC student fees. So some of those are your athletics and recreation fee, health and dental, student union, etc. And these are paid over and above your co-op program fee. The other thing to keep in mind is as you are a full-time student or full-time UBC student while on a co-op work term, this allows you to maintain your eligibility for UBC scholarships, awards, as well as student loan funding. And so as we mentioned, all the co-op work terms are paid. You can see that there's still a really large, extremely positive return on your investment by participating in the program. So although your total co-op fees are probably close to $5,000 if you completed 16 months of work experience and paid your student fees, you still come away making at least $50,000 over your time in the program, which goes a long way to helping you pay for your degree, all while really setting you up for that successful transition from being a student to full-time employment after graduation. And our employers. So who are some of the partners that we work with? We have developed really strong relationships with thousands of employers across BC, Canada, and around the world. A few of our top employers are included on this slide. And these employers come to the co-op program and hire our students because they know coming to our program, they have access to some incredibly enthusiastic, adaptable, very high achieving and skilled engineering students who are going to bring energy and really innovative ideas into their workplace. It also gives them an opportunity to mentor and train the next generation of professional engineers. And probably most importantly for you is it gives them the opportunity, or gives the employers the opportunity to screen and identify potential full-time employees. So many of our co-op employers use the co-op work term as a way, or they kind of treat it as an extended interview, an opportunity for them to really get a sense of you as a potential full-time employee at their company. And many of our students have gone on to secure full-time employment with a co-op employer after graduation. And lastly, I really do want to make clear that, all of these companies are on here. There is no predefined or pre-approved list of eligible co-op employers. Any company or organization that is able to provide you with a technical and engineering related work experience can be a co-op employer. Okay, services and resources. So you might be wondering, you pay that co-op program fee. Where does that fee go and what does it pay for? So this program fee, you only pay it when you secure a work term. If you don't secure a work term, you don't pay the fee. As part of that co-op program fee, a lot of that money goes back into the program, like all the money goes back into the program, and it allows you to have access to exclusive programs and resources that are available only to co-op students. So finding your first co-op job is going to be a very time-consuming process. It can be quite daunting. So being part of the co-op program, we're able to provide you with some resources and tools, as well as advisors to help support you. So once you join the program, I mentioned previously, you're going to participate in our pre-employment training workshops. This is going to really help you be able to put together a really strong application package, get a better understanding of what you need to put in your resume and your cover letter, how you're going to be able to ace that interview, as well as how to find those opportunities out there. After the workshops, you're going to be assigned a designated career advisor who's going to act as your personal job search coach, who's there to help support you through the job search, as well as once you're in that workplace, they're there to help you as well. These advisors work with a specific set of students. So for example, Yumi, she works very closely with our chemical, biological, mining, materials, and manufacturing students. So she has really specialized knowledge about that particular market and the employers that hire students from those disciplines. So we have advisors that work with all of our engineering disciplines in our program who can help support you. And as a co-op student, probably the most important resource that you'll get access to is our co-op student only job board, which we call PD Portal. And this is where we post those hundreds of job postings available for students to look at. And these are from employers who have the specific goal of hiring a UBC engineering co-op student. Although PD Portal, our job board, is a really great resource for finding opportunities, we do also encourage students to diversify their job search through networking and finding jobs through other means, such as through your own personal network. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up my presentation with two different student experiences, so you can just kind of get a sense of what some past students have done during their time in the co-op program. So the first student here is Tanya. She's a manufacturing engineering student. She completed her degree back in 2023. She's now working as a technical product manager at Bell. And when she first joined the program, her first work experience was as an academic assistant within the materials engineering department. Following that, she worked at Labatt Breweries as a supply chain intern for a period of another 4 months. She then went on to work as a co-op student at a consulting firm, McKinsey & Company, for 8 months. And then she ended her time in the co-op program working at Microsoft as a specialist intern. And the second student is Ingawari. Ingawari was an integrated engineering student in our program. Again, she also graduated in 2023. She's now working at MasterCard as a performance analytics associate consultant. She started in our program with her first work experience at IBM, where she worked as a business analyst intern for 4 months. She followed that up with an 8-month work term working as a student engineering assistant at TransLink. And then she finished up her time in the program, completing a 4-month term as a summer intern, operations strategy and maintenance at Kinross Gold Corporation. Excellent. So if you have any other questions, you want to learn more information about the program, I strongly encourage you to check out our website, which is listed there. You can also use the QR code to get directly to our website. I also encourage you to follow us on Instagram. This is where we post tons of student stories for you to get a sort of a sneak peek at some of the experiences that our students have had in industry. And they've also shared a lot of really good advice about how to find jobs and secure work. Awesome. So I'm going to pass it over to Marie.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. That was a lot of great information, and I see we have questions coming in the chat throughout. So before we get to those, we're going to move on to our engineering co-op student panel. So we have 3 amazing students here today who are either currently on a co-op work term or have completed co-op work terms. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to pass it right over to those students to introduce themselves first before we get into the prepared questions. And I'm going to pass it over to Charlotte to start us off.
All right. Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm a 3rd year in electrical engineering. I've been on a co-op for I think I'm at 12 months now, actually. I originally started on an 8-month term with my current position at primary engineering, and then I ended up extending with them. Sorry, my cat's right in front of my laptop right now. And I do distribution engineering design with them, so planning for developments and things like.
Awesome. So then we'll pass it over to Saeed.
Hi everyone, my name is Syed. I'm in my fourth year of computer engineering, and as I said, I'm in the Vancouver campus. I have a total of 20 months of co-op experience in the software industry. I worked as a software developer in test, and then also as an Android developer. And moving on, I also worked as a full stack software engineer. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saeed, for your intro. And last but not least, Caleb.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb White. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering co-op student with the University of British Columbia Okanagan campus. Currently, I'm 9 months into a 16-month work term with the City of Edmonton, working for their Blatchford Renewable Energy Utility team. Lots of my work consists of design reviews and inspections.
Perfect. Thank you so much for those introductions. I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper now and learn more about your co-op experience. The first question we're going to start with here today, we're going to start with Charlotte. And the question is, how was the process of applying for jobs? And how did the training help prepare you for the application and interview process? So we'll start with you, Charlotte.
Okay. So upfront, when you join the co-op program, there's a lot of structure to it in that you create your resume with a defined format, and then you get feedback on it a lot, which helps you get it up to the industry standard, which is definitely a learning process, but it's super important that you get your cover letter and resume to be that industry standard that we're so well known for. And then as soon as you're in the co-op program, you get access to a whole bunch of different opportunities for training wise. Like I think almost, if not every other day, there is a workshop or a webinar or a session on various things regarding the co-op program and how to apply for jobs and how to do an elevator pitch or how to introduce yourself or how to make that cover letter even more fine-tuned to the job application. So that was super helpful. I think for me, one of the best workshops I attended was the elevator pitch one. And I think I'm a little bit biased towards that one because the day after I went to the elevator pitch workshop that they hosted through PD Portal, I went to a networking event that the co-op program also put on for in-person networking with various companies who are hiring, and that's actually how I landed the position I'm in currently. So there's a lot of resources. You always have continuous resource support through your advisor and check-ins through doing like a practice interview when you get your position, and yeah, it's a very supported experience, and just having the PD job portal so that I don't have to spend hours searching the internet trying to find jobs is like a huge help. But yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks for giving that overview. And it's nice to know there's so many different workshops you can access for your specific needs. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to open up to Saeed or Caleb. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to what Charlotte said that maybe stood out for you during that process?
I could add like just one thing, which is like the co-op program, like as Charlotte mentioned, that it helps you get like a industry standard resume and cover letter, which is very important because many of us will have a lot of experience from design teams or personal projects, but illustrating that on your resume or cover letter in an industry standard format is a very different ballgame from having just the experiences. So that's very important and very helpful.
I believe Charlotte and Syed answered most of that question there. I got nothing to add there. It was awesome.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's nice to have that insight for how that all those workshops and the training really prepared you for those jobs because we know they are competitive, and it is up to you guys to secure those positions. So thank you for sharing. The next question is, can you tell us a bit about the co-op positions that you've completed or are currently in? So for this one, we will have all of you answer, but we're going to start with Saeed.
Yeah, so as I previously said, I started working as a software developer in test in a consulting company. It's called Atimi Software, where I mostly worked on testing softwares and writing automated test cases for end-to-end testing of mobile apps and different websites. And then I moved on to be an Android developer in the same company because I kind of became more interested in developing apps. So when I became an Android developer, I worked on my internship project where I created an infrastructure for apps that allows any apps to be accessible or used by people who are visually impaired. So that was one of my key milestone from being an Android developer. And then moving forward, after I was done with this 8 months, I then became a software engineer at a software as a service company called Copperleaf. I worked on designing system architecture, database design for storing information, and writing code for business logic that involve maintaining large scale industrial assets. So these were some of my some of my co-op highlights, and it's possible to deep dive and talk about them for a whole day. But from my co-op positions, I learned a lot and how the software industry entirely works. And what I essentially kind of my key takeaway is that every industry is very different from classrooms. So having this kind of experience is an amazing opportunity, and it really sets you apart to understand how the entire industry works. Yeah, those were some of my experiences.
Thank you, Saidi. It sounds like you really were able to get a taste of the different jobs you could have within your field, which is such a great bonus of being in the co-op program is to test that out and see what you like on top of all of the other things that co-op provides you. So thank you so much for sharing. I'll pass it over to you now, Caleb.
As I mentioned earlier, I am 9 months into my 16-month co-op term with the City of Edmonton, with their Blatchford Renewable Energy Utility team. And essentially what I do on a day-to-day basis is the city has converted their old municipal airport into a 100% carbon neutral community that is sustained by a geothermal exchange. And it is a district energy sharing system. So all heating and cooling and domestic hot water requirements are supplied through this geo exchange, and there are no natural gas lines for heating, cooling, or domestic hot water. And lots of my day-to-day tasks consists of design reviews on builder submissions that are looking to build in Blatchford. I do lots of district energy inspections as well on the houses being constructed in Blatchford, ensuring that they're following the city's design guides that we have strictly made for Blatchford, as well as following the bylaws that are put in place for the Blatchford area. I also have been monitoring and analyzing data trends for the central energy center that we have to supply this energy to the community. Lots of process developments as well. I've been given tasks where I have to come up with a solution for a problem that we are kind of trying to solve in the community for the design guides or for builders. Project coordination is also a very big aspect of my co-op position. I'm working a lot with consultants, other city teams, as well as the builders, coordinating inspections, different kind of design review process meetings, all of that. And we also do lots of our own updates to our design guides and design and construction standards. So that's kind of a task that was handed down to me as well. So I go through and I try to make the whole process more efficient. And then we are just actually wrapping up a pilot project for a specific builder in Blatchford. I'm not allowed to kind of disclose any more information on that due to some confidentiality, but it is very interesting. And if you are looking for a co-op term with the city, I highly recommend it. I've heard very good things from other teams within the city, not just Blatchford, but it's been a great experience and it's proven to help me a lot. And I'm looking to bring everything I learned back to my academic studies in September.
Thanks so much for sharing, Caleb. And it's great to hear like the vast amount of responsibility you have over that 16-month work term as you move through that and to like really be able to expand your technical and soft skills, which we know are really important in your profession as an engineer. So thanks so much for sharing that. And Charlotte, over to you now to share your experience.
Yeah, so originally when I started my co-op term, I was only signed on for 8 months, and then I just ended up loving the company. I was signed on under the title of distribution design engineer, but I actually ended up working under our customer design build team, which is still distribution design, but I was in charge of doing automations for tasks that could be refined. So I would code apps and things such as that to allow them to have quicker processes and things like that. And then in the later half of my co-op towards the 8 month mark, I extended my term and we also work with sorry, I should say where I'm working. I work with primary engineering, which is it's a Canada-wide company, but I work at the office that's based out of Kelowna. And primary often works really closely with FortisBC Engineering, which is super exciting for me because they actually contract me out to FortisBC, so I kind of get the best of both worlds in that I work as a co-op under one place, but I'm also getting experience as a FortisBC engineer. And so currently I work half and half doing automation for primary and then also doing non-standard submissions for power line distribution throughout Kelowna and the greater Okanagan area. So I'm the kind of pre-approval stage for all of the non-standard submissions, and then it gets passed off to a professional engineer to get sealed.
It's great. It's so interesting that you get that many different experiences working with one company and know you can extend that work term if it's working for you and you're interested in exploring more. So thank you so much, Charlotte, for sharing that insight. We're going to move on to our last question before we answer some questions from the attendees today. Our last question that's prepared is, how has co-op prepared you for your career after graduation? So for this one, we're going to start with Caleb.
So the co-op program has been absolutely amazing so far. I still have 11 months of co-op work left, but so far in my 9 months working with the city, it's helped me develop both soft and technical skills, which are going to be used in my day-to-day life, my day-to-day personal life, as well as my future career that I'm planning on going for. As well as it's been a great networking opportunity. I've developed connections with multiple different professional engineers through many different consulting firms, which will always provide good kind of experiences for everybody. It helps you develop your networking skills as well. It's also shown me that I am happy pursuing engineering. So lots of people decide to go into engineering and they may not know what it's going to be like or exactly what the future entails. And one thing I can say for sure is that getting the real world experience as an engineer has shown me that this is what I want my future career to be. And I feel like it's very good to know that early on rather than going through maybe 4 years of schooling and figuring out it might not be exactly what you expected. But so far, it's been everything I expected, and it's going to be a great future.
Thank you so much, Caleb. I'm so excited to hear how that's prepared you for coming back to your coursework, but also for graduation afterward. Saeed and Charlotte, would you like to add anything about how your co-op has prepared you or feel like it's prepared you for your career?
Yeah, so I think as for me, I'm a very curious or maybe confused person, and I often try everything I have in my hand. So even when I started my UBC engineering journey, I was into mechanical engineering and not computer. And somehow after first year, I felt that programming was my thing, and I went into computer engineering. And even when I went into computer engineering, I was focused more onto hardware engineering and not software. But then I felt like that software was an interesting thing. And after I did my 20 months of co-op, I learned so much and made so much connections that like I do have two return offers from both the companies I worked for. And yeah, so it helps you definitely have a good network and which lasts a long time. Yeah.
That's so great. Congratulations for having two return offers. I'm sure that's exciting for you. You have choices to choose from, so that's amazing. I'm glad that it also helped you to really figure out what was right for you. That's really a huge part of the co-op program. So, Charlotte, anything you would like to add?
Honestly, it's just shown me like I was kind of scared that I don't know if I should say this actually. When I was graduating, or not graduating, when I was going into the office work, I was kind of scared that I was just going to be in an office of all guys, and it was going to be really scary, um, as is the experience for a lot of women who don't really know what they're graduating out into. But co-op has been really like redefining to like what engineering looks like for me. I've gotten a lot of experience with amazing women who are in the field already and just amazing coworkers in general, whether they're male or female. And it's been really reaffirming to me that it's not going to be a scary workplace to go out into. It's just fun and it's awesome, and everyone in engineering is really lovely. So yeah.
Thank you, Charlotte, for sharing that very personal experience. And I know we do get questions about that from women identifying prospective students. So I appreciate you sharing your experience very authentically. So thank you very much. So before we get into answering some questions from everyone who is here today, I just have a few slides to sort of wrap us up. So first of all, again, I just want to say thank you to all of our students who are here today for sharing your insight into your co-op experience. Before we move on, I have a few items. If you don't mind going to the next slide, Franco, thank you so much. So the first thing is keep an eye out for emails from us, from UBC Engineering. This is where we're going to be sharing a lot of important information and letting you know about upcoming events like this one. So our emails also often feature UBC engineering ambassadors or links to our engineering stories team, where you can learn about what a day in a life is like, or what attending school at UBC Vancouver, UBC Okanagan as an engineering student is like. You also can connect with our engineering ambassadors at any point to ask any questions you have about their student experience. We also wanted to show some of our upcoming events. So I noticed a few of the questions coming in are specific to admissions or UBC engineering. I invite you to join Franco and I at one of our drop-in advising sessions that are happening on Thursday, February 20th. We're going to be hosting two sessions on that day. The first one at 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the second one from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Registration is required for these sessions, but you can find that on the UBC Engineering event page that we will put a link in the chat here shortly. If you're interested to learn more about community at UBC Engineering at both of our campuses, I invite you to join us again on February 26th. This is on Zoom from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This session is solely focused on learning about how our current students have found their community. So we'll have students who are part of different design teams and clubs sharing their experiences of how they made friends and how they joined these clubs. If there's anyone here who is interested in biomedical engineering or wants to further their knowledge in biology and engineering, I recommend that you attend the PBME information session on March 4th. This is for students interested or who have applied to the Vancouver campus. And students who have, there's an option for you to take a slightly modified first year called pre-biomedical engineering timetable. And this will give you access to courses which are prerequisites for second year biomedical engineering. So if you're interested, so if you're applied to the Vancouver campus and you're interested to learn more about this, please apply to attend this session or register to attend that session on March 4th. The last thing I want to mention is to save the date for March 12th as well, because we're having an amazing alumni Zoom session where we're going to have some alumni from both Vancouver and Okanagan campus sharing their experience now after graduation as engineers in the field. So now we're going to move into our live Q&A for the remainder of the session. So as a reminder, I can already see you guys are doing it. So please submit your questions through the Q&A box. And you can, just a reminder, you can upvote questions that you would like to have answered. So these move to the top of the list for us. As a reminder today, we're really going to focus on questions that are related to the Applied Science Co-op program and the co-op student experiences. If you have any questions related to admissions process, you can reach out to Franco and I directly. There's some contact information coming up here on the next slide. Or as I mentioned earlier, you can join us on February 20th during our drop-in advising sessions. So I'm going to invite Jennifer back on the screen and our co-op students to turn on their video again as well. And I'm going to take a peek here at some of these questions and see where we want to start. Oh, I have one right in front of me here for our students. So I'm gonna ask the question, and you guys just feel free. Whoever wants to answer, just unmute and go for it. Okay. So the first one here is: do students frequently have trouble returning to coursework after completing their work terms, especially if you have been in co-op for a while, like a few work terms in a row?
I was gonna say I don't really have a insight onto that question just because I haven't gone back to my coursework from my co-op position yet. I assigned with the city of Edmonton for 16 of my 20 months. So I was gonna say Syed might be better to answer this question.
Yeah. So yeah, it sometimes it definitely feels like you might forget a lot of things in courses, but it's actually not the case. The thing that actually happens is when you return to courses after a long time, it will take like maybe a couple of days to get comfortable with like getting back to studies. But the thing is, the way of your thinking will be more matured, and you will be able to make engineering decisions in a much more matured way, which will also help you with your courses. And yeah, at least in my case, I felt that my grades were improving after I came back from co-op, because when you work in an industry, and every industry works in a very large scale way, and when you have experience with a very large scale system, it's very easy to understand any system that's taught in class. So it's definitely not very hard. Yeah.
Thank you, Syed. I see Charlotte, you unmuted as well. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I'm getting prepared to go back after my co-op term ends in August, which is a little bit far away, but I like to be early and ahead of things. So, I don't know about the Vancouver campus, but I'm sure it's very similar. At UBCO, we have an amazing advising team, and they usually will help you sort out if any of your sequential courses are misaligned upon your return. I know for me, I chose to take one extra course while I was on my co-op term just so that I could not have a misalignment within my course load upon returning. But yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that is a concern when you're away from the coursework for a while, like how is it going to be to come back and feel to be back in the classroom? So it's nice to know that that experience really adds value when you come back to your coursework. Saeed, we have a question that is specifically for you. The question is, I am also a curious student with a variety of interests. What was it like shifting from mechanical to computer engineering? Was it a difficult process for you to make that decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. The one mindset we all should have as engineering students is we are problem solvers, and we should be able to solve any given problem given any given time. So it does not matter what you are studying, and it does not matter what process you are following. If you think like if you have that mindset of being able to solve anything, then then it's not a difficult process. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's very good to be curious, because that will allow you to explore many things. And yeah, I would say as a student, try to explore as many stuffs as possible. And yeah, and like in your 4 or 5 years time, like in 4 or 5 years time of university career, it's very important to do as much stuff as possible, like from like starting from design teams to co-ops to taking courses to being a teaching assistant to being a research assistant, to like do everything possible and be a problem solver. And yeah, and it will make any process pretty simple. Yeah.
Like you say, there's a nice just overview in general if someone is trying to
Mhm.
choose between two programs, because that is a difficult thing when you have many interests. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your experience. That was, I think, very applicable across the board for anyone in that scenario. Jennifer, I think you're on here as well. Might just be not on my screen, but I see there's been a few questions coming here in about co-op terms. How many can students do in a row? I just was wondering if you wanted to share any information with the whole audience, kind of summarizing some of those work term questions.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there's been a couple that have come in. So just to reiterate that your co-op work term or your very first co-op work term won't be scheduled until after you've completed your second year of studies. And then all of your co-op work terms need to be completed before you begin your fourth and final year of engineering study. And so what it looks like between those two periods of time will vary depending on what discipline you're in. So certain disciplines have predefined co-op sequences that you need to follow in order to make sure that you're able to continue progressing with your courses and you're acquiring the necessary prerequisites to keep going through your academic studies. So there will be some predefined sequences that you're able to follow. So the typical schedules have students either doing 4 work terms, 8 months, 12, or 16 months consecutively, depending on the sequence. There is flexibility with your schedules as well. So if you are looking to secure an opportunity, or if you find an opportunity, it's 12 months and you may not necessarily have been scheduled for 12 months, we encourage you to talk with your advisor because there's a really strong chance that we can change your sequence to allow you to participate in that opportunity. So the one really great thing about the Applied Science Co-op program is it is extremely flexible. So you do have the option to change your sequence and things depending on the opportunities that are coming available. And I would say the maximum number of work terms you could do consecutively is 4, because then you'd be starting in May. That'd be summer term. You do a work term in the fall, a work term in the winter, and then one more work term the next summer, and then you'd be going back to school. So you wouldn't want to do any more than that because then you would definitely forget what you've been learning in school if you go any longer than that. But yeah. So yeah, definitely flexible, definitely not something you need to worry about now. But yeah, lots of flexibility there.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate you giving that overview of the work terms for everybody, because I think it can be a little bit confusing when you're trying to balance working for a term and doing courses and what's the right fit there. I see that we have approached our time today with each other here. So just to wrap up, we're going to keep answering a few questions in the chat, but I'm just going to do a formal wrap up here. I just want to say thank you so much for Jennifer, for you being here today, Yumi, for you being here today as well, Charlotte, Saeed, and Caleb. We really appreciate you sharing all of the insight with the students here today and your experiences. And we're looking forward to everyone who's here. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Jennifer shared how to reach them at co-op. On this slide, we have some great slides here for if you have any admissions questions. We have the u.ubc.ca slide, has a lot of great answers on there. If you have any questions about UBC engineering, please reach out to myself at the Okanagan campus or my colleague Franco. I'm sure he'll pop on in a minute here if he's not already on from the Vancouver campus. We're happy to answer any questions you have or redirect you to our colleagues here in co-op. So thank you so much again for being here today and joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the session. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you in September if you decide to join us at UBC Engineering.